Hey, good morning. Happy Sunday. Happy weekend. Um, Hope you're well. I was not planning on looking at Heritage this weekend, just with my schedule and everything else going on, but was flipping through some of the auctions this morning and noticed quite a few comic auction lots that were intriguing to me. A lot of times you can find books that are hidden in the lots that, or maybe something you want for the PC or something for a Silver Age run, but they'll be buried in a 4.0, 5.0, 6.0 type average grade lot. So I was flipping through these and wanted to go ahead and document them and get them into my spreadsheet for tracking. So this is the Sunday and Monday comic book select auction from Heritage that's running today and tomorrow in the afternoon or evening, depending on your time zone. And I wanted to go through and figure out if there was a way to like maybe better organize or track these. So let me pull up. If you're not familiar with Heritage, they run this auction weekly for comics along with several others. I always participate, if I'm going to participate, in the Sunday and Monday comic book select auction lot. So I'm going to go ahead and click into here and I'll show you what I do. There's too many books and not enough time, not enough money. I can't sit here and go through every book. So what I typically do is try and pare it down into sort of a select group of titles that I'm interested in. So in this case, I will scroll down on the left and look at comic publisher here. Let me just make sure I'm zoomed in. There we go. Comic publisher on the left, and I just go with Marvel. So if you're a DC fan, obviously you'd do the same, but select DC if you're playing along at home. So what I was doing this morning is I was just cycling through. There's quite a few Amazing Spider-Mans in CGC, off white to white. Those are really not my cup of tea. I'm not really interested in something like this. So Amazing Spider-Man 7 and a 4.0, if that were white pages, maybe I start to look at it. But I'm going to skip all the way ahead. Don't get sick as I scroll. A lot of Amazing Spider-Man. Again, if you're into that, some great lots for Amazing Spider-Man as well. But what was intriguing to me is when I got down to way past Avengers, Conan, Daredevil, started to get into the Fantastic Four book lots that was interesting. Again, here's Fantastic Four number 2, off white to white in a 1.0. So if you have to have this book, it's there for you. But these are the obvious books, I would say, right? They're obviously CGC slab, very easy to figure out what the value is if you're using different value sources like GPA or cover price or Go Collect. Very easy to look those up. So here's an example of a book. So Fantastic Four 55 in a CGC 5.0. And let me pull up GPA here. And this is just an example. I'm not necessarily interested in the slab books, and that's really not what got me going this morning. So this is 55 in a 5.0. So 55 in a 5.0. I would say affordable for what this book is. 145 day, 90 day average with $175 last sale. So trending up. Really, really nice cover. 5.0 off white. Really tough to see that one in a 5.0 white. I understand that. Current bid $40. So there's a lot of value there if you're going to jump in and take a look at that book. But that book shows up later on in a kind of, I wouldn't say buried necessarily in a comic book lot, but certainly there. And what I try and do, by the way, too, is these groups of 29. No thanks. It's just there's too many books. It's that, I mean, that lot could go easily for $600, $700, $800. Way out of my price range, and typically those are so low value that you're just not really getting the most for your money, I would say, on the larger lots. The lots that I tend to look at are the 2, 3 to maybe 6, 7, 8, 9 book lots, somewhere in there where it makes sense. So I tagged some of these already. Again, group of 18, group of 14, like group of 18, average 1.5. I mean, drawing on the front cover. I'm all about presentation. There's no way I would present Fantastic Four 17 to anybody with all the writing on that cover. But like this one's interesting. A 2-book lot, 1.8. That's too low a grade unless it's a super high key in there. You have the Inhumans story in here, but just not that interesting. So this was the one that I tagged. This is a Fantastic Four group of 5 that includes that book 55. Now, Heritage is claiming that the average grade is a fine minus, so a 5.5. So just slightly above the graded 5.0. So what I was going to try and figure out is there a way to grab information from here in the description and maybe break this out a little bit better in the spreadsheet. So this is where I'm kind of thinking on the fly how to best organize this, but what I'll do is I'll put the description in here, and you can see the automatic grading isn't necessarily working, and that's okay. I'm going to move some of these tabs around. The URL in column A, you'll see that switch to the appropriate lot number, and then the average grade on this is 5.5. I'm just going to overwrite that. Now, the tricky part for me is trying to figure out how to best put this in the spreadsheet. So if I want to do something like a row grouping, I could do that. So this is Fantastic Four 51, 55, 61, and 63. So if I did something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's a 5-book lot. And if I group these together, it's not going to let me do, oops, it's not going to let me do that. I want this, let's see, maybe I think if I do this, it should show up. Yeah, that's what I want. So what I wanted to be able to do is expand this sort of master row to see what's underneath. So 51, 55, and I'm wondering if I should just have an issue number column. It'd be easier to type in than clicking in each time, but yeah, that might be easier because honestly, they're all going to be Fantastic Four. So insert one to the left. Hopefully that doesn't, yeah, it's going to start to mess up some of these. L326. Some of these columns are or some of the calculations are specific to the columns. I should be able to fix that as we go. Let me see here. So this bid projection, data E12, what was it before? N326. Oh, 326, right? What's wrong with that data? E12. D2 through C2. So it doesn't recognize that. So this is D10 through C10. So it just needs to be moved to this one. So I believe I need to move the column. There we go. Okay, that's better. That should fix this. Okay, so we're in business there. And then I'm just going to put issue number. This way it'll be a little faster on the data entry side. Right, so what I'm trying to accomplish is, so then in here I would put 51, 53, 61 through 63, 61, 62, and 63. And then when they're grouped, I can still see the calculation here. But what I realized I was doing when I was looking at the group lots is that the calculation here was being buried. And I didn't quite like that. So if we go to GPA, and again, this is for issue 55, which, well, hold on a second. 51, sorry. It's 5155. There we go. So for issue 55 in a 5.5, GPA is saying that we're at 120. So for whatever reason, probably just inventory supply, the 5.5 is, according to GPA, it has a lower value than the 5. But I think it's just because there weren't any 5.5s. One sold in August 2021 for 120. And then 2 months later, a 5 sold for 175. So the 5.5 is actually undervalued here, whereas a 6 is 259 last sale, 254. You see what I'm saying? So this 120 value is actually lower. It should be somewhere, this should be about 200, and the 90 days should be 160 to 180, somewhere in there if we're just kind of breaking down the tiers. Again, this is interesting. The 4.5 is above the 5, so not sure exactly. Maybe these were white pages, like who knows. But what I want to do is call out the values. So 120 was the 90-day for this one, with a last sold of 120. So I'm just going to put those values there and then summarize it up here so it's easier to see. So 51. $5.5, not a whole lot of data. I'll use this 102 with a 130. So 102 GPA, last sold for 130, and then 61 through 63. And then we'll take a look and see if this auction really has any value here or is worth picking up. 55 again, $56 here. 62 in a 5.5. $50. So the other thing you have to be careful of is not only are they pushing books in, maybe they're not as desirable because of the condition, they're also not desirable because of their sort of status as a key. So they'll highlight a couple of keys or a great cover and then bury some of these other ones. So like $38 back in April. So they're going to make you buy these others in order to get 51 and 55. So this is now a sum of these. And so is this. Oh, yeah, I'll just do this one manually. Sum of these guys. And I'll just call it out Fantastic Four. That way we can see it. Okay, so I kind of like this summary a little bit better so that I can see the breakdown of what's in here. Because a lot of times, if I'm trying to compare rows over time, I want to be able to see the same. So if I'm targeting Fantastic Four 55, I want to be able to see it here. And anyway, okay, so we have, I'm going to minimize the grouping, right? So now this is really in terms of, do I want to bid and so forth. I've got accurate data to the best of my ability. The auction date is today. So according to GPA, again, that's for CGC slabbed. So when I'm calculating, what are my bid values and targets, I'm taking a percentage off of the GPA because it's raw. So a $71 pre-bid, $178 target. Now let's go back and see what the price is. And the current bid is $210. So right now, and that is, sorry, I get confused. Yeah, so buyer's premium, it's $252. So now I can go back and look at this breakdown, right? So what that tells me is that this current lot is currently above GPA. So it's basically 222 is the current GPA value for 51 and 55, and this auction is already at 210. So I'm going to pass on this one, but it's just an example of looking at the lots versus the slabbed books. Now, the 55 that is currently sitting there in a 5.0, that $40 bid is not going to stay. But again, just kind of comparing slabs versus these books appearing later in the auction under a comic book lot. So let me move on to one that maybe doesn't have that high of a bid. And this is the next one, that Fantastic Four Group of Four, current bid at $26. Now, 4.5, obviously a lesser grade than 5.5. But let's take a look. So still great books. 57 is one of my favorite Fantastic Four covers that's a little bit maybe not as well known as some of the other classic Fantastic Four covers. But I look down here, there's no additional notes as far as, pages cut out, torn, water damage, stains, drawings, things like that. They're supposed to call that out here in the description. So I always read this first and just take a quick look at the scans just to see, did somebody draw googly eyes on one of the characters or something. It looks pretty good. Wrapping on 56 is rough. You don't even see the 1 and the 12-cent price. So that's something to keep an eye on if that's a book that you want to display. But hidden there in the back is 57. Right? It definitely has that fold and some other things going on, but there it is if you want it. And with a current bid of $26, it's something that would be worth looking at. So I'm going to do the same thing I just did. And in this case, I should be able just to grab, hopefully it's not going to grab the whole, yeah, I was worried it was going to grab the whole subset of books under that, but it didn't, which is good. So I grabbed the description, And I always ignored this Overstreet value. That's always incorrect. I mean, it's correct for Overstreet, but not correct for current prices. And I grab the URL so I can look at the lot number. That'll switch there. This I have to override because in a group lot, it can't pull out the grade automatically, or my spreadsheet can anyway. So these numbers are negative because it's trying to sum what's underneath, and I'll fix that. So we've got 47, 54, and I will just grab this just to, it's a 4-book lot, 47, 54, 56, and 57. What I like about this too, it's really easy to quickly grab these in GPA instead of jumping from title to title. So 47 in a 4.5, 66 and 100, and this should be summing through 336. As should that one. Okay. 54. Sorry. Gotta bump the resolution on this one. 54, 50, and 57. 56, 4.5, $30. Again, that's slabbed value. So raw is, I mean, you probably could find it on eBay for $5 or $10 in that condition. And then 57. So 57 is actually the book that I'm targeting in this lot in a 4.5, right? So this value is much higher, 170 and 140. So 170 is the value that I'm assigning in GPA. Okay, so again, you're going to have to pay to acquire these three. You're going to have to pay a little bit extra than you normally would. But the current... let me just group these here. Awesome. Okay, so I'm liking how this is going so far. If you're in the chat or you're watching this, good morning, good afternoon if you're watching it on the replay, or good evening if you're up late watching this and the auction's ended. But let me know if you think there's a better way to organize these. But I do like the fact that these are grouped now, so I can refer to the title and issue number, and it looks visibly more interesting and kind of summarized here nicely. So the pre-bid on this one is 60, and it's only at 24. So I'm going to bid this one up to 60. And let's see if I'm the high bidder on this. And I am. So I'm the high bidder currently at 56. These pre-bids don't last. They don't stay. Everyone that bids at Heritage is either really, really savvy or they have a lot of money. And in either case, if either case is true, the bids start to shoot up quickly. I'm not going to speculate that Heritage has any bidders on staff there, but they typically don't let books go. You know, they wouldn't let this lot go for whatever it is, for $56. They're just not. So somebody is going to be there bidding, and we'll push this up closer to GPA. My goal is to find some of the lots that slip in and are let go for 40, 50, or 60% of GPA. And those are the ones that I typically try and not, again, I'm not sniping Heritage auctions because it's a very expensive playground. but I can still find some books that I'm targeting for my personal collection, or that I figure I could turn around and slab. So again, just looking at the summary here, this is a 170 GPA. So that's the book that I want. So if I put this in at 170, again, my bid target would be $71. I'd max out at 120. So if I were able to get this lot for around $120, let's say, then 47, 54, and 56 are just along for the ride. Those are bonuses. So again, kind of depends on how you look at it, but to me, this is currently under market value. For those 4 books, even in a 4.5. And again, my goal is to get 57 out of the lot. So this is, again, an example of that. So 57 appears again here in this lot. Same grade, but this is a group of 9. So if I open this one, and 9 is, this is borderline of me not being interested. I'd have to go through each of these and look at the value, which I certainly could. But in a 4.5, that's pretty tough. Again, looking at this though, issue 57, the centering is nicer. It doesn't have that color breaking fold. It has like what I call the fine minus, or very good to fine minus, like the chipping at the top, but like 58 behind it, even though it's miswrapped, pretty crisp on the top with Dr. Doom on the cover. 65, Ronan the Accuser, it looks like back there. Anyway, so maybe these are not 4.5. Again, it's an average. If they slip in one of these books and it's got water damage and it's a good or very good copy, it kind of brings down the average. Maybe some of these are actually closer to, fine minus or even fine at that point. So I'm tempted to break this one down. And while your time is valuable and I appreciate you being here to watch, I am showing you how I prep, and I am interested in this because I think what I would like to get is a highest grade copy of Fantastic Four 57. It's a book that I'm tracking. I'd like to have that in my collection. I'd like to have it slabbed at some point, and that's what I'm going to do. So while this is going to take a little bit of time, I don't mind doing this because there's a handful of these Fantastic Four lots that are interesting to me in this auction. So we have 57 and 58, 65, 74, 79, 80. And again, I can rip through these prices quickly on GPA because they're all under the same title. 83, 88, 95. And then the summary here is going to run up to 346. And you have to be very careful and make sure that you're grabbing the right rows, because if you grab the wrong rows, you've got the wrong values, and then you're bidding using the incorrect formulas and values. So 57 and a 4.5, we already said that was 170, 140. And see, this is already helping me too, because I can just eyeball these values and pull them in instead of figuring out where. This is the way I used to do it. Let's say Star Wars group of 6, and I would put the values here in the function. So in this case, I like this breakdown because I can look at previous lookups here, and I don't see any other overlap. So I'll have to grab these manually. So 58 and a 4.5. $53. 65. Actually, no, that's fine. 65. $4.5 is 75 with 81. It's the last sale. $74. And this is where it gets me thinking about what I'm buying and what I'm collecting. Like, if I'm really interested in doing this, here's 140 with 80. If I'm really interested in doing this, then why am I spending so much trying to get... oh, I didn't put the last sale on that one. Shoot, 58. I gotta go back. What I'm trying to figure out is comparing my spending habits and what books I'm focusing on. And do I want to continue to... it was 53. Do I want to continue to subscribe, like with a pull list? Or do I just do an even more targeted pre-order and FOC ordering, and just sort of the recurring, like I'm subscribed to Amazing Spider-Man and I just keep getting all of the Amazing Spider-Mans every month and I'm not reading it. I'm just collecting it. This one's 30. Like, is that bringing me enough satisfaction, or would winning one of these lots for 40% a GPA, is that more satisfying? To me, that's way more satisfying. All right, issue 80. Now, on the flip side, if you are able to subscribe, and $4, it has no value. On the flip side, if you are able to subscribe and you end up just a book sort of falls in your lap, okay, great. But the problem is, like with a pull list, you're getting one copy unless you're subscribing to multiple, which again is not something I can afford to do. I don't know. I keep going back and forth on that one. The collector in me wants to keep subscribing, and the collector / investor / upgrader, like trying to get a Silver Age book in a particular value, that person doesn't want to just blindly subscribe anymore. I want to feel more targeted and involved. Okay, so what is this lot telling you right now? When you see like $4, $30, 53. Again, it's a filler lot. They're trying to dump, sorry, wrong word. They're trying to maybe influence you or entice you to look at this lot when you really wouldn't otherwise bid on those books. 88 and a 4.5. Part of it is the fact there is no 4.5, so I just grab 5. It's not going to matter. It's $12. Sometimes I even leave these off because it's just not even worth putting in the values. So some of it is the key factor, and some of it is the condition factor. And both of those, when it's a non-key and a low grade, it's just not interesting. $5 back 4 years ago. Okay, so technically the GPA for this entire lot is $525. Yeah. I don't know. Is it really? I mean, when you've got this one for 5 and this, like, no one's gonna slab Fantastic Four at 95 in a very good minus, right? Is that what we're dealing with? VG plus, sorry, very good plus. I get it, but the current bid is $64. So that's kind of what I'm saying is just ignore the fillers and look at 57. So even at 57, again, just to pop this in here as an example, my bid max would be 120. Now, 74 also has some value. So really, I would say this is more like 310. And yeah, my bid target 148 for those two. if I was looking at a 2-book lot, which is, right, that's kind of the way you have to think about this. If I'm looking at it as a 2-book lot, my pre-bid 59, I'm already being outbid, but my bid target is still in play at 148. Now, if I put everything back, the bid target is 265. I understand I'm kind of taking some junk books. I hate to say that, but it's books that, you'd have to have a real reason to acquire those. Again, if you're filling out, maybe a Fantastic Four 50 to 100 run, then hey, it has some value. I'm not saying it doesn't, but you just kind of have to be careful. So pre-bid 106, bid target 265. So I'm going to go ahead, even though I understand there's filler, and I'm going to put the 106 bid in here. And it was already outbid. Now the other thing is, let me go back here just for one last thing to note. You have the option to track a lot with Heritage, and if you bid, you're automatically tracked. So you don't have to bid and track. But you can also set up a text message alert. So the way that I organize these and think about it is there's tracking, which is kind of what I'm doing here. I'm tracking everything in my spreadsheet. And then there's tracking plus something I'm interested in, something I want to stop whatever it is I'm doing, click on that text message and follow up with the auction. This particular lot, I'm not super, super excited about. So I won't get the text alert. But I will come back and track and see what did this auction end up selling for. So that's sort of the difference. That's kind of what I do there. So let me group these. Yes, my cat, he's off camera, but he's in here joining in on the fun. Okay, so I'm at least liking the new way that I'm organizing these lots so that I can see, because when I was looking at it this way with them all here, well, there he goes. Now he's getting into the action. When I was looking at these here and I couldn't see the details, then it's like, this makes it look, this value, 525, makes it look like this lot is really, really desirable and interesting. But then if I open it up, you can see it's actually just because of these 2 books, right? So then I'd have to kind of process that a little bit and see if that is of interest. Now, speaking of interest, there are a few others here. I stayed away from this one. I don't necessarily have a hard line in terms of the grade, but once we get down into the 4.0 and below, again, it's a lot of filler. Especially a group of 19, I'm not interested. It's too many books. This one was interesting, particularly because of Fantastic Four 72. And the average grade also in a 7.5. So this is one that I want to take a look at. Oop, that's right. I just want to copy the row. So if I copy the row, then it doesn't bring all the sub rows with it. Okay, so this one, again, looking at the description, I'm going to copy it. I don't see anything in here that's indicating that any of these books have additional damage or something you can't see in the scan. I'll grab the URL, and now the lot number 13352 has been updated, and this is a 7.5, and it's a 4-book lot. So let me get the issue numbers in here: 59, 72, 73, 87. So let me adjust these. This will be to 351, 351. Okay. So 59. So now we're getting into a 7.5. So even if there are fillers in a VF minus, that's not bad. So 7.5, 132, 110. 72. So 72 is this Silver Surfer book. And let me see, I want to zoom in on this one. This book is interesting because it's considered to be a non-key, but the fact that it's a Jack Kirby Silver Surfer, you've got the Watcher behind it, it's a red cover, sort of makes it a key in a way. So, sort of depends on your definition of a key book. I'm taking a look at 73 in the background there too. There's some discoloration here towards the spine, but right here in the center, it's really popping with the white. So a very presentable book, I would say. The wrapping on these aren't too bad, and has a little bit of wear at the top, but again, 7.5 for these. This one, the spine looks really, really nice on issue 59. So pretty nice, I would say. 4-book lot at 140 of a Silver Age Fantastic Four and a 7.5. All right. Again, thank you everyone for joining me this morning live as we're going through some heritage auctions here and taking a look to see if there's some hidden value in these book lots. So a bunch of these Fantastic Four Silver Age book lots caught my eye this morning, and I wanted to go ahead and break down their values. So 72, let's see what's going on with that book in a 7.5. I imagine it's trending up, and it is. 494, last sold 489. So that is going to really shoot up the lot's GPA value here. 73 and 87. $73, $140, $141. And $87. Now again, there's plenty of savvy people on here. They're not going to let this group lot go, especially with Heritage listing it with 72 like right in the front. Everybody knows what they're doing. 87 in a 7.5, $79. So they're going to make you basically take issue 87 along for the ride. All right, so $845 is the combined GPA of this lot if it were slabbed again, right? So my breakdowns and my targets are adjusted because these are raw books. So my target for this whole lot would be $440. Again, just to make sure I'm getting 72. So the argument here is, well, why not just find your auctions for 72? On one hand, it's easy to search, like show me a listing for Fantastic Four 72 raw. And people are going to find that more frequently and be more interested in that specific. They can bookmark it. This one becomes a little buried, right? So the title is Fantastic Four Group of Four. Like here in the title, there's nothing indicating that this is Fantastic Four 72. So that's why I like the book lots in here. Again, very fine minus, very high grade, or above average, above mid, certainly, for this. And you've got 140 is the current. And my pre-bid is 176. So I'm going to go ahead and bump it to my pre-bid. And outbid, and that's fine. So that adds me to the tracking, if you will, and I already added the text message. So that one, that's perfect. That's great. That's what I'm looking for, and I want to see, like, again, would I be able to snag this one for $300? Who knows? That's the whole point of me doing this, is to see if people will not pay attention to this because 72 is buried in the lot. All right. So the next one that I'm interested in is a Fantastic Four group of 8 in a 6.0 fine condition. And then we've got here 72 showing up again. The wrapping's not as great, but there's another Galactus cover there in 74 as part of the lot that's interesting. Hey, Dragon Buster, good morning. Hello. Spec Collector, thanks for being here. Spec Collector says the problem would be if the books are lower grade or restored. Correct. Right. So, and that has been an issue in my experience with Heritage. There's a couple of books that I got that were not called that. I feel like they have an obligation to call some of that out here in the description. And this is one right here. Let me just highlight that for a second while I explain this. So, in my opinion, it is up to, and Spec Collector, you like the process. Yep, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's not a perfect science, so there is some risk involved. I feel more comfortable if I get a book that has a problem than I would from eBay. So a good example I want to say is X-Men 14. I bought it in a 2-book lot, and there was like a coupon or some advertisement, and it was cut out on the inside. So now we've got a problem with a page being cut out. They didn't indicate that. I contacted them. They wrote me back right away, and we were able to work through that case, right? So they were like, what is the lot number? What is the issue? Can you send some pictures, right? With eBay, a long time ago, I had somebody color touch, and they didn't specify that, and I caught them, and they were at least on paper, digital paper, they were terrified that I was going to give them negative feedback, so they offered me a few bucks back. And I ended up keeping the book just as an example to show like where the marker, the Sharpie actually bled through the front and onto the first interior page. And they claimed they didn't know, they didn't realize. And I was able to work through that case with eBay, but it gets a little bit tricky because there's feedback and there's some negativity there and weirdness. Like, are they trying to pull a fast one? Whereas Heritage, it was very straightforward, very matter of fact in terms of going back and returning the book or offering some sort of discount or credit or things like that. So on one hand, I feel like there's an obligation to call it out. And if they don't, I feel like Heritage is easier to work with. Like they want to make sure that there's a case resolved, whereas eBay, sometimes they're like, it's buyer beware. What's another example? Woody Warren, good morning all. Hey, nice to see you again. Appreciate you stopping by. Last other quick example, the Amazing Spider-Man book, again, early Silver Age, had some pinhole things and some other damage to it that could possibly... It's not certainly a restored, but it could be a qualified grade, like, which again, I don't want to get into, how I feel about qualified because I want to get back to tracking the auctions, but with a qualified grade too, like, would that book have been qualified if it were slabbed? Should they call that out, right? That's part of the gamble. And with the book lots, as everybody knows, like, you're getting it at a discount, you're assuming some risk there, and to me, it's worth the risk. I've gotten some really great books in lots, and I've also gotten some books like that X-Men 14 that I was disappointed with that page cut out. So for me, especially if you're dealing with Heritage, you get more value out of the lots than you would the single issue because everybody sees the single issue and they can map that single issue to GPA or other sources, whereas very few people, I think, are actually going in like I am and breaking this down. Spec Collector says, I had the same problem with eBay on FF48. Was there a color touch or restoration you're talking about? And Woody Warren, loved this process, been using it on and off, and it really helps. Love that. That's great. That's why I'm doing it, to kind of just show and hopefully just point out like a little bit of extra work and prep can really help you find some value here. Okay, so let's rip through the color touch. Yeah. that happens, right? So it'll happen on eBay. I haven't seen it necessarily on Heritage. It certainly could happen. I'm sure it has before on raw books. But yeah, that's some of the risk. And there was one that I showed earlier in this session that had some writing and other things. They don't always call that out in the description. You got to look at the scans. So if there's, and they limit the scans to 3 books. So there could be one of these other books that are buried that has color touch or writing and you don't see it. And that's pretty rough too. But again, I feel like you can work with Heritage a little bit more easily. So this is where I'm kind of going on a rant about Heritage, but this is where I understand that the fees are insane, the buyer's premium is insane, but there's some services built into that if you needed to, it's almost like insurance, right? It's kind of disgusting to pay for it, but if you need it, it's there, and then you love that it's there. So part of that buyer's premium, I feel, is the ability to work with Heritage to point out, hey, I've got some color touch on this, right? Let's work on this to resolve it. Okay, let's get back to this. I love the discussion. I get excited about it, but also want to stay on topic to kind of walk you through that some of the books that and lots that I'm looking at. So this one, again, it's going to take a few extra minutes because we have quite a bit, but this was one that I saw this morning, and what I wanted to do is really break down and see what's going on here and see if this lot has value. So this is a group of 8 in a 6.0 with the first appearance of Agatha Harkness, which, according to the rumors, she's going to get her own show. Could she show up in Doctor Strange 2? All of these are possibilities. I don't have her first appearance. You could argue it's too late, but nevertheless, it's in here. And so let's break this down. So 64, 66, 68. Yeah, Spec Collector says, with the right books, your method could easily double or even triple the value you paid because less people will be able to notice these books. That's it, 100%. So if I could pin that comment, that's exactly what I'm doing. You end up, I don't even think, let's see. So this is 94. Yeah, see, it's not even, again, Heritage limits their scans to 3 books. They just do this like nice little stacking. They've been consistently doing this for years. The key book in this lot, in my opinion, is 94, and it's called out in the description, but I would say 95% of folks that are interested in Heritage are just swiping and scanning through the pictures. And they're like, oh, I know that book. It has Doctor Doom. I'll bid on that. 64, 66, 68, 71, 89. And if nothing else, this helps educate me on pricing, 93, 94, where if I am targeting a book, I start to pay attention to the price trends. And then maybe I do jump over to eBay or Comic Link or somewhere else to kind of see if I can get a deal. So I don't think this is time wasted, in my opinion. I do like to go through and study, just like I used to do with sports cards when I was a kid. I'd take the Beckett grading or the Beckett magazine and go into the grades, and I would, like the little stock market up and down ticker symbols, I would study that thing. So you could quiz me as a kid and ask me, what was the price of a 1984 Fleer Don Mattingly, and I could tell you what the price was and what the trend was. I studied it. So this helps me kind of go through these Silver Age lots and study the prices and educate myself on what they're going for. Okay, so 64. Again, we're looking at an average of 6.0. So are all these books 6.0? They're not. And I know that, and that's the risk. But you have to kind of take an average. So 6.0, 61, 71. So 61 GPA, 71 last sold, 66. So again, if you want that first appearance of Agatha, you're going to have to take all these with it if you want it at a deal per se. So this one's trending up a little bit, 186. That was just from that one last sale. But still, that's some good value in a 6.0. 68. 68 and a 6. 55. 71. And while I'm doing this too, I did hit 100 subscribers and appreciate everybody subscribing and taking a look at sort of the methods behind my madness here. 56. And as part of that sort of celebration of that milestone, I am giving away an Invincible Iron Man #1. I have to schedule the giveaway video. I'm going to do that live and pick a winner. All you have to do is find that giveaway video and post a comment. That's all you have to do. Just post one comment. That's your entry. And I'm going to randomize that and pick a winner and do that live and send it out as a thank you for subscribing. So if you haven't done that already, definitely take a look. Just go on my channel and find I think the giveaway book it's pinned on my channel, so it should be easy to find. We're coming up on that issue 94. I'm really curious to see what the price is going with that on that book recently. 93 and a 6. 20 bucks. So you're gonna have to take quite a bit of filler. So 94, here we go. And let me see if I can pull up. Yeah, just wanted to pull up this book here quickly so we can see it together. Spec Collector just subbed, but not because of the giveaway. Simply love good. Hey, thank you. Much appreciated. That's awesome. I would say participate in the giveaway just because why not? It's a free entry. Again, it's just as a thank you for everybody checking out my content. So thank you for that. Appreciate that. So Fantastic Four 94, again, just confirming Agatha Harkness first appearance. This is what the book looks like. There's no scan on Heritage. So let's look at the values here. Look at the 9.6 shooting up into that 9.8 range. So a 9.8 last sold March 2020, probably super rare. 96, there was 2 in the last 90 days trending up. Last sold 1260. I imagine if there was a 9.6, it would sell for even more today because of the news. 1500 and a 9.4. So this is one of those key books. It was key before WandaVision. WandaVision made it a more desirable key that more people became aware of. And now if those rumors are true, that she's going to have her own show or be part of the Doctor Strange 2, sort of the mystic and sorcerer, magic, all of that theme. If she's going to be a player, I think a large part of that is due to the actress that plays her. She's fantastic. Let's get to this grade. 6.0, 212, 225, last sold this month. If I'm speculating on price, all of these prices are going to continue to push. So 212, 225. And honestly, if this book was a standalone at in a 6.0, I'd be very interested in having a copy of this book in fine condition. And then lastly, 98. And it's not to discount the other books in the lot. I still appreciate those for what they are. But you also have to be realistic. Like, I'm not going to go nuts because of a $15 Fantastic Four 98 and try and target it and whatnot. I understand it's just you have to pay for it as part of the lot. But I'm really targeting 94. And then obviously 66 has some nice value here. So you want to put your investment hat on and make sure that you're spending your money wisely. But if I were to look at this, so let's look at the price right now. Price right now, $52. Now, it's not staying at 52. I always say that because it looks like, oh, I'm going to create a Heritage account. I'm going to bid on this because I can get Agatha's first appearance for $53. No. As soon as this auction starts, it gets bid up real fast, like double, triple, quadruple. Like that's what happens. This pre-bid nonsense, it's just, I understand why they do it. It's to get people to look at it and be interested in tag and track, but it never ever stays at that low a value. However, what this does tell me is that people aren't targeting this lot. They're not necessarily aware yet. Now, if you're watching this, I'm bringing awareness to this specific lot. And if you're interested in Agatha's first appearance and you want to pay, somewhere between 150 and 250 for that in a raw fine condition and have to pay for additional Fantastic Four copies that maybe aren't as desirable, hey, more power to you. I love it. I love the process. I love talking about it and love sharing it. But what this is telling me is that most people are not aware. And that's what that low bid tells me and shows me. So that's where I start to think maybe once this auction gets going, I could maybe sneak in a really nice, decent low bid. So if I'm going to just move this to 212, you can see my target is 94, my pre-bid is 38, and that's sort of in that range of where it is now, but you're getting an additional 7 books along with it. So I'm going to go ahead and add the pre-bid of 130. Again, just kind of sticking to my plan and my formula that's in my head in my spreadsheet and place that bid. So now that you've seen what I've seen, like, it's a $52 bid. Maybe this is a lot people don't know about. Now, if I bump it up, it says 90, I'm winning. I would say 90 still is an indication that people may not be aware. But let's say that went up to 150. Now it's not as shocking. So that's another reason I do it. So if somebody sees that and they go, oh, the current bid is 150, 200 or whatever, maybe they move on to the next one. So I would say that's probably the only reason other than the tracking, the auto tracking when I bid. So that's a couple reasons why I do participate in it. So again, that low bid is like, wow, really? Okay. People don't really know what's going on. Spec Collector says, crazy, still can't believe that character is commanding those prices. I'm on the opposite spectrum. I think eventually this book will tank, but short term will stay hot. I can totally see that. It's definitely the MCU, news cycle of people getting shows and characters appearing and all of that. And will that book stay hot 3 to 5 years from now? I don't know. You make a great point. It certainly could drop. It's the value, I would say, and its desirability are certainly because of what's happening today, like the news that came out this week, people looking for it. It's one of those books. I enjoyed WandaVision. I'm a huge fan of what they're doing and that show. So in a way, I'm a little bit attached to the book, like most people. I think this is the mentality of why the values shoot up. I'm a little bit attached to it. I watched the show with my family. We really liked it. We thought the Agatha character stole the show. So, there's a little bit of an emotional attachment to seeing the character on screen and wanting that key issue. And I think that's basically the fundamental reason why these values go up for those same things. But you're right. Once that character kind of moves on, will it really retain its value? Maybe not. Yeah, I could see that. Okay, so this is another one that I saw. Again, I got suckered into Fantastic Four 72 on the cover there, again, in a 6.0. Now let's go down and look at the notes. So 73 they list as a fine, very fine, which again, I appreciate. What that tells me, though, is maybe some of these other books aren't quite a 6.0. That's interesting to me that they called that out specifically. So I'm going to rip through this one just because we already kind of did one with Fantastic Four 72. So I'm going to copy this row, drop this down here, and I'll leave this expanded so maybe I can grab the values a little faster here. So let me grab the description. Again, I ignored the Overstreet value. It's meaningless to me. I don't know. I am curious, though, if you have people just kind of stumbling onto Heritage. Like, do they look at this Overstreet and does that influence their bid? I don't know. I've often wondered that. Okay, 63, 72, 73. 74, 84, 88. 74, 84, 88. 95, 131, 136. Okay, so, and that's 9. So this is, I need to adjust this down to row 370. And same for this. Okay. Let's see, do I have any overlap? So 72, we have a little overlap here. This is 494. Well, wait a minute. No, that was in 7.5. So I am going to have to look up these again individually. So 63 in a 6.0. 6.0 is a great target for me personally. I like or I'll even do a 5.5. I really like the value in fine condition. Still, you get a very presentable book. And to me, that's sort of in I would say my affordable price range. Sorry, I forgot what I looked at just there. $63. Obviously for big keys, a Hulk 181 and a 6.0 is out of my price range, but for your average Silver Age book, I like the 6.0. 72. A lot of the Amazing Spider-Mans that I picked up in the 20s, 30s, and 40s issue range are 6.0. 72, 6.0. Trending up 275. And did they put 72 on? Yeah, that's the one with Silver Surfer. 73 and 74. Sorry, I lost track there what I was doing. 72 is the whole point that I was looking at this one. 73. Trending up $99. And I keep the last sold just for reference. I don't actually use that as part of a calculation. Spec Collector says, not Overstreet. I love Overstreet, but you can't commit to their book values in today's market where the prices have such volatility. Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Overstreet has its place. You can use it for helping you learn how to grade books and so on, and give you a general guideline. But you can't be pricing or looking at values on Overstreet anymore. Those days are long gone. 155. The days of going into the comic store and saying how much is this book worth, and they pop out the Overstreet guide. That's decades ago. 84. I don't know. I think it's just a legacy thing in the heritage system that it just pops out a value, and I honestly think it's for uneducated buyers who are just like, oh, I used to collect comics as a kid. Let me just see what these are worth, or let me grab a couple. $57. And Heritage just leaves it in there sort of as I don't know if it's like a guide or maybe it's like a hidden reserve, like wink, wink. It's 250. Make sure it's above 250, everybody. I don't know. 6.0, 43.39. So you're starting to get into some rough territory here with filler. 95, 6.0, $25 from 10 years ago. 131. This is weird too when it's like, we're going to throw a Silver Age lot in here and we've got issue 72 and 131. just no values. So I'll just grab 7.5 as 40, but that's actually, this is where like, I don't even want to put a value, and maybe I won't. I'll just leave it empty. Just put 0. I think that's more accurate anyway, actually. 136. No value. You could make an argument that 95 and 88 should also be no value. I'm going to leave it, but that's something I might consider, is just maybe taking the top 30 or 40% of the lot. So in this case, I would say 72, 74, and 73. The three books in the scan. Those are the three books you want. So just take all these down to 0, something like that. And then this is actually your targets. Again, as a collector right now, I don't own a lot of these books, the Fantastic Four Silver Age run, so these would have value to me as a completionist, but you'd have to be in the right mindset, right? So if you're only targeting 72, then these should all be 0. I could see both sides of that argument. For me right now, I prefer to leave those values in there because there's still some value for me to get one of those, put it in a full back, put it in a nice new bag, and put it in my Fantastic Four Silver Age bin, and be able to go through those books and see a complete run of issues in the 70s or 80s. There's still value for me, but I think the collectors that are completionists like that, I think they're a dying breed. So, you could take these values and then just wipe them out and do a reset and just leave the 275 in there. Okay, so my pre-bid 148, target 370. Again, this is above that pre-bid, so I'm going to leave this alone, but I am tracking it with a text message because I'm interested in 72 and 74. And again, those are the two big books here. So let me group these. And I'll collapse these two. That way it's nice and clean. Okay. So I think I have a couple more to go, and then I'll probably call it here and let you get on with your day, and me as well. Or maybe that was the last one that I was looking at. Or I think what I did is I stopped here and went, wait a minute, there's quite a few lots worth looking into. This grade 2.0, I'm going to pass too low, too much risk. As Spec Collector was saying, once you get down into this 2.0 range, there's too much risk in grabbing books that you don't see. You're blindly bidding and buying these. And you can see most people kind of believe that too. Current bid of 3 for 7 books. You'll see this one go live and you'll see a bunch of bids, 20, 25, 30, 40 bucks, because they're just like, well, I'll do the math and I'll give you $5 for each and it'll sell for $35 to $50. But it's not worth the trouble of shipping, paying for shipping and all of that other stuff. I just stay away. There's too much risk. Okay, so here was one more. This is a group of 5 in a very fine 8.0 average. So this is something I wanted to look at, in particular the scans. So great Jack Kirby art on these. Again, like just 77 alone in the scan is incredible. So if we zoom in here and just what are they saying is a very fine 8.0. That looks pretty good. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, look at the spine on that one. Like there's nothing below this staple that's a 9.8 right here. If you're just looking at this corner, this quadrant of the book, that's great. Little spine tick there. I'm worried that that's a stain. I don't know exactly, but this is an amazing presentation. That, again, a little bit of color break here, but from a wrapping, centering perspective, always love that. Yeah, there's a lot going on. Silver Surfer, like Galactus, Shall Earth Endure. This sort of like, I'd say Jack Kirby-esque text that appears on these books. Really amazing. This one, 87, not so good. I'm a huge stickler for the wrapping of the book, so that that to me has a little bit of a lesser value. And then this one too has been like weirdly great Ben Grimm thing, bunch of looks like a wanted poster, but from a condition perspective, that looks really great too. I mean, zoom in a little bit. So yeah, I mean, I would give Heritage a pass on this one and say, okay, those are eights or eight-ish. I mean, you could argue. Certainly 77 looks great. So this is something I want to break down. And there's only 5. So let me do that. We'll copy this. Get the description going. And believe me, I'd love to just write a easy button somewhere that's like a Chrome extension that just says, here, grab all the stuff you need and throw it in a spreadsheet. So as much as I love automation, some stuff you just still have to do by hand, unfortunately. Okay, so I wasn't putting Fantastic Four on there. That's okay. We've got 77, 87, 92. $97 and $100. So I have to adjust these. This goes to 376. Okay, I think we're set up now to grab the values. So 77. Colors pop on 77? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Like again, I've got some books behind me and they're really more, well, I guess they're that way. They're more of like some of my prized possessions necessarily, but like if I'm building like a silver aged nostalgic looking Marvel wall, that book's going on it. I mean that's great. So 77 in an 8.0 we're talking about. 149 to 150, I feel like that's great. That's great value. Again, not paying 150 when I say great value. I mean trying to get it as part of the lot and getting it at a discount, maybe 60%. I would love to have that book in an 8.0. 87. The other thing too, I will say, excuse me, let me get a drink. You know, I do this with Heritage because they're pure auctions. And to me, it's sort of it's a high bar, it's a maximum. Here's 80, 133. That's an interesting range. It doesn't mean that I don't buy from eBay or I wouldn't consider Comic Link or another auction place, because a lot of times what I'll do is if there's an auction of a book like 77 or 72 that goes crazy on Heritage, or already in the pre-bidding process, it's sort of out of my range. That's when I go over, and again, it's about education. That's when I start looking at other auction places and looking at data there. And it could be much less than Heritage, but the sort of Heritage group, again, group of people, whether it's people on the inside with Heritage or other regular customers that kind of push a book up to a certain point, that's fine. It's all about education. And then I go and say, look at what a discount. So if I could get 77 CGC 8.0 on eBay for 130, I just go buy it now. So it's really about educating myself, because there's so many books. I can't know, the values of every single book, and I want to learn. So like I said, this is not a live commercial for Heritage. It's really about the data and then going out and getting the best price. 8.0, 85. And a lot of times too, it brings books to light that I wouldn't have normally seen before. That lot might be worth it just for that one book. I feel like going after it now. Yeah. That's what I mean. Like I have done that in the past where I'm targeting. I got I think it's Fantastic Four 55. It's the one with Silver Surfer and the thing on it. Love that cover, and ended up getting it in a lot for either the same or slightly less than I would as a standalone book. So I love doing that. 97. 97. 8.0. 63. So with this one, you're paying a little bit more for those fillers because it's quote unquote high grade. Again, is an 8.0 in silver high grade? Yeah, some people use 8.5 as the cutoff there. It depends. 8.0 trending down on issue 100 at 125. Okay, so this one has a GPA total value of $502, targeting. I'm getting close to 50%. So if you just want to, if you don't want to use spreadsheets and formulas and everything, I ballpark the raw target as 50% of the GPA. I was settling somewhere around 45 to 55% as the target. But if you're just ballparking it, 50%, I try not to pay more than 65%. Again, remember, bid target is without buyer's premium. So if you look at column J, that's what you're actually paying. So that's where you have to be a little careful. Okay, so 101 and 253. Yeah, 105. I mean, I'm definitely going to take a look at this. I'm not going to put any extra money on the bid right now because I think 105 is fair at this point for a 5-book lot. I'm just going to leave it alone. But I'm going to check on it later tonight and see where that one goes, specifically for 77 in that 8.0. Okay, and looks like I've got one more here. And yeah, this group of 13, probably going to stay away from Fantastic Four long box. I never do those. That's crazy. I don't even know what they would charge you to ship that. Probably twice as much as you'd win, but that's a total crapshoot. I'm not interested. And then we're going to get to Fantastic Four annuals after that. So I'm going to end the stream right after this one. I'm going to do one more. Like I said, the 6.0, 5.5, to me, that's my sweet spot for raw books. This 84, again, a non-key, but key because of the cover. Doctor Doom's Castle. There's a really great cover on 84, so it's sort of becoming a key because of that. 70, that's a great looking book. I'm going to zoom in on that one. Again, looking at sort of quadrants, the top right quadrant looks pretty nice with this black cover. I mean, this one's tough. Look, and that whole edge looks like a 9.8, a little chip there, but that looks really nice. Bottom looks pretty decent. Definitely some folding and some rough edges down here. But is that a 5.5? You could argue it's at least a 6, maybe. I mean, you want to give it a little extra grading love just because of the dark. And this is where, as Spec Collector was saying, you have to be careful about color restoration. So I would immediately get this book back from Heritage and open up that first page and see, did anybody take a Sharpie to any of this? And I'd be able to work with Heritage if that were the case. 84, yeah, I'd say that's probably a 5.5, somewhere in the 4.5 to 5.5 range. A little bit of a miswrap down there. That's not terrible. But anyway, that was one that I wanted to target as well. Most feature Jack Kirby covers. Yep, that's true. All right, let me group these. We'll do one more here. Group rows. So again, process. I want to grab the description. That helps me in so many ways. A lot of times I'm out and about. I cannot afford to sit in front of a computer and watch the Heritage auction. If you can, that's fantastic. And you end up having more tools like this at your disposal. But the other reason I do this, especially with Google Sheets and not Excel, is I can very easily grab this on my phone. So if I'm at a baseball game, a practice, or at the store, wherever it might be, I would get that text message. I could pop this open. I could then read the description and go, okay, I remember this lot. I could click on the link. So I make sure this is all here. And then I can scan the values very easily and bid right there from my phone remotely without really worrying about what I'm exactly bidding on. And in some cases, like the Agatha lot, I will come in here too, and I'll just add a quick highlight temporarily like that so that I know, hey, that's something that I was targeting when I was going through the prep. So there's other ways to indicate, auctions that you might want to push the value up on or get into a bidding war over. But I love being able to take this spreadsheet on the road and bid from anywhere, but also have this reference. So I'll typically have two screens open that I'm kind of moving back and forth on my tablet or phone and just toggling between Heritage and the spreadsheet. I never participate in a Heritage auction or any auction on my phone where I'm just bidding blindly. Hopefully that was more just common sense, but again, just bringing some value into the prep beforehand. So 70, 78, 84. 85, 90, 96. 106 and 113. And again, what I love about this is I can just quickly navigate GPA by typing in the issue number at the top. So this is a 5.5 lot, issue 70. I have a weird feeling that these are all going to be pretty low values. 53, 78, 33 and 46, 84, 5.5, way down here. $25 from 4 years ago, 85. So this one's not getting me super excited with these values. A couple of the other lots are more interesting. But again, looking at 32 from years ago, it's interesting to me on this again as a completionist. So the other thing that I look at with Heritage is what I call bidder fatigue. So if there's a lot that just came before this one, let's say, that went crazy and I'm tracking it live, 31, 32, and let's say there's a frenzy of bidding on 13356 because it's an 8.0 and Spec Collector's on there and Woody Warren's on there. We're all getting on Heritage and we're outbidding each other and it gets crazy. People might take the next auction off. And I will see that where you just see auction after auction just hitting, and then one dips and it goes for like 45% of GPA. Why? Is it because it's not desirable all of a sudden? I truly believe that because we're all dealing with like real currency and real lives and emotions that you're like, whoo, I just won a bidding war and maybe I overpaid for something. So I'm not even going to look at the next one because I want to save some money or I have a budget set for, X-Men for the next day or something like that. People will take auctions off. They will not participate. And that's another one where I come in and swoop in and try and get it for like I said, like that 40 to 45% of GPA range. Doesn't always happen, but I do notice that it's very real. Because attention is elsewhere. Spec Collector says, yep, exactly. Maybe they're celebrating that they just won. Who knows? This one has no value. 106 and 113. Let's see here. 106. $36. And 113. 5.5, no value. Yeah, I'm not even going to put 53 or 20. Like it's to me, it's actually better to put 0 because it keeps my bid lower. Okay, so this one, not that great. Probably something I'm looking for filler. I wanted to track this because of the low bid. Like I said, this was an indicator that it's probably a little bit lower. Let me open this back up. I still like 84. So 84 in a 5.5 is $25. So might be something to grab slabbed if I really need that in a 5.5. But 29 to 73 is that range. It's above it. I'll track it. I did put a text message. I think 70, it has the chance of being above a 5.5. So I'm going to look at this one, but you could probably tell just from my lack of enthusiasm, it's not going to be an auction that I go crazy over. But certainly if it opens at 34 and maybe bumps to 50, maybe $60, maybe I bid it to 70, or I do the cut bid at 65 and it's mine, then I would take it. Okay. Group these rows, and there you have it. So again, just wanted to go through some auction lots. It's a great way to bring some value to Heritage, where it has, I think, this reputation of being kind of a very expensive auction house, people talking about the buyer's premium. And I think a lot of it has to do with general comic book flippers and speculators not willing to do the work. I'm willing to do the work. The data is important to me. And like I said, if I don't win any of these auctions, I'm completely fine with it. I have spent the time. I've got data. I can look at price trends. I can focus in on specific books like that Fantastic 472 and really educate myself and understand what that value is and where the trend is. And then I can watch the auction or come back later and put in the values and see what happened. Is it a book that people overpaid for? Why did they overpay? All of that is really interesting to me. So I appreciate your time hanging out. If you want to add some comments or shoot me a message if you have questions, if you're curious about the formulas I use or anything like that, definitely shoot me a note. Again, thank you for everybody for subscribing to help me get that 100 subscriber milestone. Hope you have a great weekend, a great rest of your weekend. Happy collecting, and see you next time.